You're welcome to today's teaching where we are going to break down GBP-JPY. There's a particular opportunity that we are looking forward to trading on GBP-JPY, where we are looking at making some money, make money for ourselves, make money for my students, just like we always do. I always make money for myself, send all this analysis to my students in the private community, and we all make money together. That's what we've been doing for multiple years. Okay, so we operate using what is known as a top-down analysis, where we start from the monthly time frame and take markets regressively from the monthly time frame down to the 1 hour time frame for a real-time trade entry opportunity. In rare occasions, I can even go as low as the 15 minutes in order to spot an opportunity. Okay, so this means I'm going to start from the monthly time frame, which is the biggest time frame that we have here. I call it the penthouse floor. You understand why? Because it gives us that bird's eye view, it gives us that very beautiful view where we are able to see the entirety of what price is doing, and we are able to project the markets by what price is doing. Okay, so the first thing we do is to circle out what I call the CMP. Okay, CMP means current market price on the monthly time frame. Okay, so that's the first thing I do, circle out the current market price. Then once I've circled out the current market price, I now want to understand the structures that took prices to this current market price. What are the structures? When we talk about the structures, what are the stories? I just want to understand everything in its entirety. Okay, so this will now take me to reading the entire structures. From here, what are the structures? We saw prices make push and exhaustion, clear bearish structures. Then this is push, this is exhaustion, and this is push, all indicating clear bearish structures of lower highs and lower lows. Then after this, we saw what is known as a change of character. My students know exactly, what it means when I talk about change of character. Like I said, I have a full course on chart structures. I have a full course on price action trading that my students have studied, so they know all these terminologies, because you cannot make progress with price action trading without knowing these terminologies. You have to know these terminologies and you have to know how these terminologies work. How do they take effect for you to be able to truly, see progressive results in trading. Okay, so here a change of character happens. Then after a change of character, we know that a discount happens. A discount is a pullback where price stretches to either the 61.8 or 78.6. In this case, grab mobiles, it stretches down to grab mobiles and pushes beautifully in the direction of trend. So this is eventually where we are coming to on GBP-JPY. This is where the road leads to. Okay, so now that we know where the road leads to, what are we going to do? We are now going to read the structures that is taking prices to that road. Okay, we know, this is like the promised land. Okay, so this is the road leading prices to the promised land. And remember that we know, right, that the market moves in wave patterns. So this means the market does not move on a straight line like this. Instead, the market moves in wave patterns of push and exhaustion. After every push phase, there must be a rest phase. After every push, there must be a rest phase. This is the nature of the market, not like this. Not, I meant not like this. Okay, so this is more of the nature of the market. Okay, so we are fully aware about that. So what we are now going to go further to do is just to read the entire structure. So from here, prices came for an exhaustion. After this exhaustion, we saw price make small structures of push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion, and push, all creating clear bullish structures of higher highs and higher lows. Okay, so more than likely at the point, price will come for an exhaustion, push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion, push. So eventually this price is going to keep moving until it eventually hits take profit. Okay, so we already know about this. Okay, so what is next? Now that we understand that GBP-JPY is very, very bullish, what are we going to do? We are now going to go further to, we're going to go further to understand what is going on with prices, at this point. What is delaying prices, if I might use that word? What is delaying prices at the CMP? Let me bring one of the tools out. What is the delaying prices at this CMP here? Why are there rejections there? So we have to understand all of those things together. Okay, so if I bring up my horizontal line out and probably even zoom in a little bit, what are we going to see? We are going to see that price is trading around where I call a monthly obstacle point. You can see it's a resistance level, and that's the resistance that price is currently at. That's where price is currently trading at. Okay, so I'm now going to go ahead and target as a monthly obstacle level. Okay, then after tagging the monthly obstacle level, what is next? I'm now going to tag this level right here as the last higher low point of prices. Okay, so here, monthly higher low. So this means prices is between the monthly higher low points and within the monthly obstacle points. Okay, so because this is a monthly obstacle level, monthly obstacle levels, prices could rally around monthly obstacle levels for a long time because this is a monthly obstacle. It could rally around before even dumping down. So that probability is there. So, we are fully aware about that. And it's also possible for prices to break before pulling back, and continuing direction of trend. I have full examples and full teachings of all of this in a full course that is available to my students. They are all aware about it. This is a free class, so I'll be spilling all our tea. Okay, so we identify the monthly higher low, we identify the monthly obstacle level. We're now going to take that window as our range of focus. Okay, so what is going on within this window that is tagged as our range of focus? Okay, we are now going to be reading the entire structures that took prices to the monthly obstacle level. Okay, so we'll start from here so that we understand the entire story. From here, we saw price make push, exhaustion push. We saw a change of character here. After a change of character, we saw prices pull back for a discount. Okay, so prices pull back to as much as the 78.6 Fibonacci level for the discount. My students also know how to use the Fibonacci well. I will focus on the Fibonacci. Okay, so after this discount, what did we see? We saw prices continuously moving on bullish structures. Push exhaustion, push exhaustion, push exhaustion, push exhaustion. All of these push exhaustion, push to the monthly obstacle level. Okay, so this level right here, as we can see, is the last higher low points of prices. So I'm going to go ahead and tag it as the weekly higher low, okay, because it's a weekly time frame. So we are now going to go ahead and take this weekly time frame and this monthly obstacle level where price is currently trading at as my range of focus. Okay, so prices is currently stuck between the monthly obstacle level and the weekly higher low points. Okay, so now if I bring up my Fibonacci from the weekly higher low right here and stretch it to the high, one thing that I can see is that prices originally rejected a weekly 61.8. Okay, so here is a weekly 61.8, weekly 61.8 level. Okay, however, prices never got to the weekly 78.6. Okay, weekly 78.6. So for prices to hit the weekly 61.8, but does not touch the weekly 78.6, it means that there's a probability that this weekly 61.8 is only acting as a retracement. That is, after any change of character, it will dump prices to the weekly 78.6, selling to the weekly 61.8 as TP1, and selling to the weekly 78.6 as TP2. Okay, so these are some of the little secrets that we have that, my students know all these secrets, even how to use them correctly. Understand that these are the secrets that a lot of traders that just watch from afar. You guys in the free community are not aware about, but those in the general, those in the private community are fully aware about this and they use it to their advantage. Okay, so we saw prices touch the weekly 61.8, but prices failed to touch the weekly 78.6. So this means that this weekly 61.8 might just be acting as a temporary retracement. At a change of character, we wait for a discount, dump it here TP1 and dump it here TP2. Okay, so this is eventually where price is coming to because the weekly 61.8 is acting as a temporary retracement of prices. Okay, so now that we know that, we're just going to go ahead and keep reading the structures. Okay, so from here, we saw prices make all of this mode, push exhaustion and push again. Okay, so this level right now becomes the daily higher low point. Remember, on each time frame, we're identifying the higher low points. Okay, so this is now the daily higher low points, daily higher low. Okay, so however, we know, right, that because prices touch the weekly 61.8 right here, all of these are just retracements that the change of character discounts will sell to the weekly 78.6. We're fully aware about this. Okay, so what is next with prices? We'll take it to the 4 hours time frame. Okay, And on the 4 hours time frame, what are we saying? Price is stuck between the daily higher low and the monthly obstacle level. Okay, so what did we see between these windows? Okay, so between these windows from this daily higher low, we saw price make push, exhaustion, then we saw price make, small structures, small structures, but eventually went and made a bigger one, push, exhaustion, push. Then there was a change of character. This was the change of character that stretched to as much as the weekly 61.8. It didn't touch the weekly 78.6, but touched the weekly 61.8, allowing me to know, right, that because it touched the weekly 61.8, is also going to go as far as touching the weekly 78.6. So this is where price is eventually coming. Okay, so we can see that, just for example, we bring the Fibonacci out from the daily higher low, stretch it to the high. You will see that prices touched the daily 61.8 right here. So for prices to touch the daily 61.8, you can see all this zone. For price to touch the daily 61.8, I knew that prices would also touch the daily 78.6, which you can see right here. This is the daily Fibonacci. So prices touch the daily 61.8. I knew that because it touched daily 61.8, it's going to come in and touch daily 78.6, which it did. However, after touching the daily 78.6, it now touched the weekly 61.8. So now, because prices touched weekly 61.8, I know that we're going to come to as much as touching the weekly 78.6. So any buy right here is just a retracement, and price is going to keep dumping downwards at any point. So our job is to find, our potential reversal area. Okay, so one that I can see that the PR is that what? There's a resistance, there's a support level. This was where the change of character happened. After prices change character, it seems prices try to retest that level, turning the broken support to a resistance. Beyond that, let's bring out the Fibonacci to see if prices have respected that zone. So this level is a resistance. This level is a support stone resistance, and this level is also a 61.8. Collaboration of two PRAs. So here I will say this is a support stone resistance / 61.8 potential reversal area. Okay, so there are two factors that makes this place a strong potential reversal area. Is the fact that prices turn the support to a resistance, and the fact that there's a 61.8 at that level. So we know that once we go on to our 1 hour time frame, which is our entry time frame, when we see a change of character around this level, what are we going to do? Just wait for a discount and dump down here TP1, dump further to the weekly 78.6 TP2. Simple, straightforward. So come back here. We already identified our PRA level. So what are we doing? We are just waiting for a change of character and a discount. Now, I'll show you guys where the change of character happened. The change of character happened here. Okay, so let's read the entire structures. From here, we saw prices make push, we saw prices make exhaustion, and we saw prices make push. So after this push, what happened? We saw a change of character. But with this change of character, prices did not give a discount entry. Okay, because my students always know that after a change of character, I always wait for a discount. Prices refuse to give a discount. Okay, so prices basically made, push, exhaustion, push, hits this PRA, gave a change of character here, but refused to give a discount. Okay, then what the prices do? Prices now stretch down and broke this last higher low point right here. All of this higher low level got taken off. Okay, all of this last higher low level got taken off. So when prices took this last higher low level off, what are we expecting for prices right now? We're expecting a discount to 61.8. And at the discount, what are we going to do? We are going to dump it hard, for TP1 level right here and TP2 to the lower point. Okay, so this is TP1 and this is TP2 at the weekly 78.6. Okay, so we are now going to go over and identify the fact that right here, this is where, if you switch to line chart, you see it well. This is where the change of character happened. Okay, so here is where the change of character happened. Then after the change of character, what did we see? We saw prices pulling back up. Now, what am I going to do? How am I going to tap into my entry? I'll bring the Fibonacci out from this point to this point. Okay, once in a shot, price already trading above 61.8 right now. And anywhere around here is a very valid entry point. So at this level, we can decide to place our entry with our stop loss right here, right above. Then what are we going to do? We are now going to ride to TP1, which is this weekly 61.8 zone right here. Okay, let's even use this lowest level of rejection is where we are going to take TP1, the lowest level around the weekly 61.8 is a 1:2 risk to reward. And we want to stretch to TP2 is a 1:3 risk to reward. Okay. So anywhere from here, there's 1 to 2 here and 1 to 3 risk to reward on this trade. So anywhere from here is a fantastic entry point for prices, right? And we would be looking forward to maintain prices. However, if we want to have a shorter stop loss, what are we going to do? And if the shorter stop loss I'm trying to, I'm trying to negotiate for, so that we're able to get a better risk reward on prices. I'm trying to see price we stretch to 78.6. Price stretch to 78.6, then we are going to dump here. In this case, we are going to have a better risk to reward. So 78.6 right here, or maybe a little below 78.6 with our stop loss at the high right here, then take profit 1 for 3.5 risk to reward and take profit 2 at 1 to 5 risk to reward. But basically, at take profit 1, we are going to be exiting, because we just want to compound. Today's Thursday. This is our first trade for the week. So we know that, we want to be able to just compound. So anything, so far I can get 1 to 3. Anything from here, I'm going to enter. Like I said, the entry is actually right now, but if you're entering right now, taking profit at TP1, maybe you might just get a 1 to 2 risk to reward at max. Maybe you might just get 1 to 2. Not to say there's nothing wrong with a 1 to 2 risk to reward, right? And if it's something you want to take, go ahead, take it. Imagine putting $1,000 on the line. We make $2,000 on this trade, right? So this is a fresh trade that you can decide to take, we can decide to take, or you can see if prices, might decide to give you a 1:3 by what? By putting your stop loss by putting your entry a little bit above. And at 1 to 3, you execute. So anything from here, we are good for 1 to 2, but I'll just wait a bit. As soon as it gets 1 to 3, where I know that, okay, we are going to get a better risk to reward, because this is going to be our only trade for the week. So I want to make sure that our risk to reward even makes sense. Understand? So basically, this is what we are doing. This is what we are looking forward to. And this is how we are going to make money with prices this week. So I'll just patiently wait. Like I said, our entry is correct right now because we're even above 61.8, which is even a fast stretch. You understand? But me, I will just wait a little bit. I just want to see if I can just do 1 to 3, or maybe even 1 to 2.5 or 2.8 risk to reward. Either or, I'll just see if I could just, just wait a bit. Anything around this 2.8 to risk to reward for TP1 is okay. Then let me stretch this one pinpoint. Anything around here, this will give me what? This will give me 1 to 2.8. It's okay, And if we take it a bit lower to TP2, where the weekly 78.6 is, this is 1 to 4. But anything from here, I believe I'm wonderful. Okay, so I'll just keep this setup right here. This is how we just do our analysis. Simple analysis, make money, enjoy ourselves. You understand? But right now, since price is at 61 points and 61 points our discount level, prices is beautifully ready for an entry. Okay, but if we want, we can just wait a little bit for prices to just get to this point, and at this point, dump it downwards to take profit. So I'll just take this one off a bit. I'll just take it off a bit. I'll bring this a bit closer. We're going for about 1 to 2.8. Yeah. And I'll just, save the setup. I'll just save the setup, and, we all will just get set to make money together on this trade. Yeah. So this is the end of the free class. If you have questions,